Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me. I see some people starting to pop in here. I just put out a video a little while ago today, and it didn't seem like nobody's watching it. So I'm like, maybe nobody cares about Bitcoin Cash or news or reviews or anything today. I don't know. And it just seems like everything's just down today. And here, it's such a gloomy day. It's so dark and dreary. It's been kind of rainy. And I'm kind of like, well, I don't know what to do with myself. And so last night I was up, like, this is gonna, so for those of you, what's up, everybody? Alexander, thank you, man. Nat V Style, what's going down, fam? Joseph Alfano is a dreamer, apparently. So last night I was actually painting. I was painting some miniatures, and I'm gonna tell you guys to put on your crazy cap for just a little bit with me tonight, because I'm gonna start talking about some stuff that is absolutely batshit crazy, but could be true. And you know, here's the thing. Back in the day, hell, 15 years ago, I was sitting down at a bar, and I was talking to this guy who, you know, I was telling him my religious beliefs and my philosophies to life and everything else. And he'd come out to me and said that he was a Freemason. And I didn't know anything about it at the time. And yes, tinfoil hat time. Because we're going to get all kinds of crazy. But I'm going to explain a lot of stuff here tonight that's going to put some things into perspective, I think. But anyway, and I'm going all the way back. I'm going way back. Like, this is a hangout. We're going to hang out, and I'm just going to share, and we're going to discuss. I've got a bunch of web pages and a little video clip I'm going to share. So anyway, I'm talking to this guy, and I'm telling him, we talked for 3.5 hours at the bar. And he swore up and down that I was a Freemason. And I was like, dude, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. I don't know any. And he thought I was playing him. He thought I was messing with him. For a good hour and a half, he was like, dude, I know you've got to be a Mason. There's no way you're not. And I'm like, I'm not. there is a way, because I'm not. I don't know anything about it. So anyway, he was like, he finally conceded. He's like, all right, I guess you're not. But, you know, ask one to be one. And he's like, what you need to do is you need to go home and you need to start researching everything about Freemasonry. He goes, there's a lot of twisted, weird stuff you're going to find that's all bullcrap. And he's like, and you'll find some truth. He's like, but you got to know how to search through the bullshit to get to the truth and all this other stuff. Well, thanks, Jack. So this honestly spawned a multi-year research campaign on my part. I read everything I could. And I went to my Aunt Julie, she was, like, she used to model. She used to work for the governor of Ohio, Ralph Regula, back in the day. She's the woman who quit all of that, left all of that stuff behind to follow God's mission for her to run the Youth 2000 retreats all over the world. And, you know, and I asked her, I said, hey, you know, I was talking to this guy about Freemasonry. I'm like, do you know anything about it? And she's like, no, not really. She's like, why? And I said, she's like, are you thinking about joining? And I'm like, well, I don't know a whole lot about it. That's why I was asking you. I've been researching for a long time, and I'm like, a lot of it looks really interesting, and I'm really into, you know, secrets and symbols and all of that fun stuff. All of a sudden, she's a scholar. She went from not knowing anything, being all passive and flippant about me even asking her about it, to basically talking my ear off for probably at least 30 minutes, explaining all kinds of stuff. Well, if all you want in the world is material riches, you go right ahead. She said, your great-grandfather was a 33rd degree Freemason, and I guess the family had to kick a bunch of Masons out of his funeral for trying to perform some rituals at his funeral or whatever. And she was going on and on about all this stuff. I didn't even know anybody in my family were Freemasons. And, yeah, it's not secret. A lot of, especially in the UK, Dabo. I know in the UK, like most judges in the UK are Freemasons. A lot of cops in the UK are Freemasons. I was under the impression you couldn't even be a judge unless you were a Freemason in the UK. I could be wrong about that. And, you know, well, long story short, I think I've shown some of you, I ultimately just went against her and became a Mason. Being a Mason isn't a secret. And I haven't even been to meetings or anything like that in so many years. I filed a demit a long time ago because I was moving, and I just never got back down there. My wife and I actually got married at a big lodge in Cincinnati, which is the Taft Street Lodge, basically connected to the Taft Theater. It's like an iconic building. So anyway, what's the handshake? It's like something like this, and you got to flip your ear, rub your ear, and stroke your chin. So anyway, I researched this for years, and even when I finally joined, I tell you what, when I became a Mason, it was kind of intense. I will say that. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not giving away any secrets or anything here. But I will say that leading up to that, I remember I was officially raised as a Master Mason in the Grand Lodge in Indianapolis, Indiana. And when you're standing there with a bunch of guys, all ages, and you see this kind of caravan of black Cadillacs roll up to the building, it was ominous. It was like Eyes Wide Shut type shit. And it was interesting. And I do believe, you know, there's a lot of conspiracies about Freemasonry, you know, being like, well, 33 degrees is really just the beginning, that there's actually a total of 360 degrees in the whole thing, and that only the elite of the elite get into any of those. You've got the Scottish Rite and the York Rite, and a lot of people go, I think it's the Scottish Rite that a lot of people go to because it actually takes you to those 33 degrees, so it's more popular because it's more measurable and you can brag about it more. And so, I'm a Lewis, son of a deceased Freemason, but never joined myself. Interesting. All right, sucker, I am ready. Let's go. This is Brandon Lopez's moment. I guess he's been waiting for this for a while. So I'll be watching you in chat, and I'll respond as I can. So anyway, in my research in Freemasonry, and learning about, you know, of course, if you start with Freemasonry, you end up going into the Skull and Bones and the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, just all these different groups, man. I mean, and it's like, you know, in a sense, the Illuminati, you know, Adam Weishaupt, and you know, you get. I have a copy of Morals and Dogma that I actually bought from a senator's estate. It was like, I don't know, it's like 1937 or 47 or something. I don't remember how old the book is, but it's a pretty old book. And I love old books. I don't care about old fiction books, but I love like old books. And so anyway, I was reading through this book, and I mean, it's like a really difficult read, to be honest with you. I feel like you got to be brilliant to understand half of what the man's saying. But when you go through, and it's like a rabbit hole. It's a never-ending rabbit hole. I could continue to this day. I could still be researching everything that has to do with Freemasonry and all these other associated groups and the Illuminati and everything else. And back when George Bush Sr. was president, he made this speech where he basically announced a new world order. And it freaked every conspiracist, every tinfoil hat wearing nutter in the world went nuts. Oh, it's a new world order. It's going to be martial law, and everybody's going down, and this and that. And I started thinking about things, and I started thinking, what makes a new world order such a bad thing? Now, some of you might hate me, because some of you guys might be crazy religious, And you might just think, wow, the crow's off his rocker for saying some of the shit that I'm probably going to be saying tonight. Alex Jones. Here we go. So, he was a member of Skull and Bones. Trust me, there's not much I don't know about Skull and Bones and Freemasonry. You know, John Kerry and George Bush Jr. were both Skull and Bonesmen, and I think they're actually distant cousins on top of it all. But anyway, that's not even the point. So when I think about the New World Order, I think about, and this, I've had this thought for 20 years. I mean, probably. And when I think of New World Order, I think of the fact that our entire globe is divided. We're not only divided by continent, but we're divided by country, state, city, territory. Then we're further divided by age, race, so forth and so on. There's very little unity in the world, which bothers me. It bothers me, especially at a time when technology, while advancing quickly, isn't advancing quickly enough to be able to explore outside of our own planet on a legitimate level. There's so much secrecy. One country's trying to hide things from another country, and so forth and so on. And everybody's in this race to try and accomplish things that others can't, not for the purpose of mankind, but to be better or more powerful, to be able to flex muscle, to get one thing or another out of other countries. And I honestly feel that we're never going to be able to move beyond where we are until we have figured out a way to collectively come together for a unified purpose. That purpose, in my opinion, should be exploring beyond what we have now and what we know now. What is one thing that could potentially help draw everyone together? A one world currency. And while conspiracy theorists think this is the end of it all, or this is the beast and the mark of the Antichrist and everything else, I thought, you know, there are similarities. There are similarities. I'm going to explain some things before we get a little too crazy, but I'm going to play this.
Yesterday with the president of China, it was a very, very warm conversation. I think we are on the process of getting along very well, and I think that will also be very much of a benefit to Japan. So we had a very, very good talk last night and discussed a lot of subject. It was a long talk, and we are working on that as we speak. We have conversations with various representatives of China. I believe that will all work out very well for everybody, China, Japan, the United States, and everybody in the region. As far as the currency devaluations, I've been complaining about that for a long time. And I believe that we will all eventually, and probably very much sooner than a lot of people understand or think, we will be all on a level playing field. Because that's the only way it's fair. That's the only way that you can fairly compete in trade and other things.
A level playing field. Sooner than we think, we'll all be on a level playing field. Now, here are some other things that I've considered and that I've been thinking about. A one world currency could potentially unite the globe. And if we're all utilizing the same currency, like he said, we can all begin to trade more effectively, compete more effectively, and do a lot of different things that we can't really do now. And with this idea, there is still some fear. The fear is, while I don't necessarily think that Bitcoin is the one world currency, like it's not being necessarily groomed to become the one world currency, something will be. And I do believe that it will involve blockchain. It may already exist. But here are some things that I wanted to bring up. Last night, I was actually reading Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin white paper. It's only 9 pages. Very short. In that, he doesn't say I. Everything is written as we. We thought this. We did this. We believe this. Which tells me, obviously, it is a group of people who came together to create this blockchain ledger system. Now, reading the white paper, you get a good idea as to what the goals are, and that's fine. However, half, as I understand it, half of the total Bitcoin is still sitting in a wallet somewhere, never to have been touched, ever. That is actually a very scary idea. That we don't know who owns this Bitcoin. We don't know exactly who created Bitcoin, or where it really truly originated from, or what the reasoning behind there being such a cache of Bitcoin readily available, yet never used or accessed for any reason. What would that reason be? What are those reasons? And these are the things that I was thinking about a lot last night. And I was thinking to myself, is this potentially the ground? Here's the thing. When George Bush Sr. was talking about a new world order, everybody freaked out. When people talked about, what is the mark of the beast, the 666 or the 669 or whatever the hell, everybody even argues about that. Is it going to be a chip, a microchip? Is it going to be a tattoo on your forehead that gets scanned? And all these different sci-fi movies and all these different people have written different interpretations of what this mark of the beast would be. Some people believe it could be your social security number. Some people believe it's something else, your driver's license number or your credit card. Or, it's the mark of the beast has become so many things over the past decade alone that it could truly be just about anything. However, when I think of blockchain and I think of security, I didn't even bring it down here. I actually got my Ecomi wallet. And I opened up my Ecomi wallet today, and I got it after I had already posted the review. Now, but I am going to do another video on it just to show you guys, because it's actually a pretty slick system. So anyway, and I'm looking at this Ecomi wallet, and I'm reading about its security features and things like that. And then I'm thinking about all the different hacks that are taking place all over. And I'm thinking, what is going to be one of the most fail-proof ways for people to effectively access their cryptocurrencies, to be able to make cryptocurrency transactions in a safe, quick way without having to worry so much about security? A chip. A chip. If you think about it, rather than carry around applications on phones that are easily lost, storing your private keys in different places that can burn up or be lost, what is one of the most secure places that could potentially store this information? A chip. You walk into a grocery store, beep beep, just paid with my Bitcoin, just paid with my Ethereum, just paid with whatever. I want to send a transaction from one person to another, tap my hand, beep beep. That's how this shit's gonna work. I'm telling you, it's just a matter of time. This is no big prediction or anything, but I believe that this is the direction we're going. It's not going to be long until we have blockchain chips, devices, wallets as implants. Somebody's probably already working on this right now somewhere. It's probably in Germany somewhere. Chips can be read remotely with sophisticated RF techniques. Sure, maybe current chips, RFID chips, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about RFID. I'm talking about something entirely different. I'm talking about something specific to blockchain technology, transfer protocols, potentially Bluetooth even. There's going to be a way, and somebody's going to make this happen. And I'm sure we'll probably see an ICO for it out there somewhere. But also, in that, I think to myself, if this were the case, what makes this such a bad thing? What makes a one world currency a bad thing? Because we all end up equal? We all end up on the same playing field? We all end up unified under one currency? One world religion I don't agree with. And I would have a strong problem with, because I believe that there are things that, when it comes to religion, I'm not a very religious person, but I do believe that whatever makes somebody better is worth it. If you're a Buddhist, a Jehovah's Witness, a Mormon, a Catholic, a Christian, a whatever, if it truly makes you a better person, have at it. But if you're a hypocrite and you go to church every Sunday just to wipe the sins from the previous week to go out on Monday and start all over again, knowing full well you're going to be coming back Sunday with a big long confession, well, you're a hypocrite, and religion probably isn't even for you because it's just an excuse for you to be shitty. And that's my opinion. I try to live my life as a very honorable, honest, hardworking, just overall, I try to be good. Now, I have my faults. I can be vengeful. I can get angry. I can get fired up about stuff. And, but overall, I feel that what makes me me, I just am. And some people need something on the outside. If something bad happens to me, I don't say, oh my gosh, this is God's will. It's like, no, I live in a universe full of people and crazy shit, and something bad happened. I don't think like that. But some people do, because it gives them more comfort. It gives them more release or relief and so forth. And whatever that is, whatever God that is, whatever religion that is, that's fine. As long as you're not hurting other people and it makes you a better person. That's personally what I believe. And so I don't judge people for their religions. I don't want anybody knocking on my front door trying to hand me a pamphlet and tell me about theirs, because I have acted like a pagan before. I have acted like crazy. I've done all kinds of stuff with some of these people. I'm not kidding. But when it comes to blockchain and when it comes to Bitcoin, I believe that we are laying the groundwork now for a one world currency. I absolutely do believe that. And a part of me thinks, when all of these conspiracy theorists have been losing their minds for so long about one world currency, one world government, one world this, one world that, I've always been one to think, why the hell not? Why do we all have to remain divided? Why is everybody so afraid of becoming one with the world? And I'm not saying that in the hippie sense, like, oh, peace and love. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying humanity as a whole. We are all human beings. I don't give a shit if you're black, purple, white. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what country you're from. We are all human beings. And in my book, there's no reason we can't all be a cohesive unit for unified purposes, especially when it means propelling the world in massive ways, taking us further and further out into space, exploring. I believe, and I don't care if I sound crazy, I believe there are other beings out there. I do not believe that we just spawned from some apes and here we are. I don't believe any of that bullshit. If anything, you want me to get real crazy, I believe there's potential for the idea that we were genetically modified from something before us, whether that was apes or not. I mean, I've researched so much of that. And I believe that there was something else here. It's been written about and talked about all over the Bible, all over all these different books. And it's been cast out of some canon, and it's been ignored by most of the rest. And there's no reason for it. I believe that there's something else that brings us here. There's something else going on. And that's what I think. And I believe that a one world currency, a one world unity, and potentially a one world government. I mean, ultimately, that's kind of what the UN is anyway. I mean, at least it's already planted the seed for it. And I don't really have a problem with that. And so, but so many other people do. And so when it comes to cryptocurrency, and I put myself in the perspective of, if I were to want to initiate a global currency, what would be the easiest way of doing that? I could secretly come out with a technology that enable people to do that, make it open source, let it grow organically, and see what happens. Rather than try to force something on the public and try to push that throughout the globe, let them clamor for it themselves. And that's exactly what we're doing. And once we've all clamored to get our hands on the cryptocurrencies, or the Bitcoins, or the Ethereum, or whatever the case may be, hell, it could be Ripple for all we know. Ripple, if you want to talk about something, IMF is all about globalism, globalization, New World Order. That's IMF all day, baby. And apparently I think they're supporting Ripple. So there you go. I mean, there's reason writings aren't included in canon. Borg mentality, LOL. Resistance is futile. I'm already a Borg, baby. I'm already a Borg. No. Look, I'm not saying that any one particular thing or any one particular group is right, but I believe collectively we can all come to a consensus. And I believe the blockchain can be utilized for that as well. Now, there's actually, so now this is something I was actually going to pose. I'm just posing some questions here, okay? I'm not making any statements. And again, I'm not a real religious guy, but I do believe that there is value in the Bible. But I believe the value of the Bible is not, what should I say? What's the word I'm looking for? It is not, gosh, I'm hitting a mind blank. I'm hitting a mind blank. It's not verbatim, but it's like more abstract. Anyway, I'm having a total mind skip. In his apocalyptic vision in the book of Revelation, the apostle John sees the beast, also called the Antichrist, rising out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The only sea I know having 7 heads is our oceans and the 7 continents. The 10 horns, I'm not sure. I really don't know exactly. This is saying the 10-nation confederacy. And so, you know, but when I think about it right now, all of the different continents and the countries they're in are trying to figure out whether or not they're going to approve, regulate what they're doing about the blockchain space. And out of this sea of 7 heads, potentially these 7 continents finally coming together in a unified purpose, ultimately accepting blockchain, we'll just say blockchain, let alone Bitcoin or otherwise. But this is all, and if you can go deeper into this kind of stuff, and you can start really kind of pointing things out and matching things together. What goodies can cryptocurrency enjoy after IMF's backing? It's an interesting read. Basically, you know, Christine Lagarde, the head of the IMF, stressed on what she quoted as the potential benefits of crypto assets such as Bitcoin. This statement came after just weeks after she raised concern about the dark side of cryptocurrency. This endorsement, understanding the risks that crypto assets may pose to financial stability is vital if we are to distinguish between real threats and needless fears. That is why we need an even-handed regulatory agenda, one that protects against risks without discouraging innovation. So this is kind of, this is fairly old news here. But when the IMF starts really supporting what we're doing and the space really starts getting severely regulated, here's the thing. I've seen videos and I've seen Crow just went from Crypto Crow to Cult Crow, LOL. I'm not trying to start any cult, and I'm just posing food for thought. That's all I'm doing. I'm not even necessarily saying, I'm not saying anything. I am basically just expressing in a hangout kind of fashion, what? I don't even know. So anyway, I'm just expressing a lot of the thoughts that I've been having lately, and ultimately some concerns in the sense that, you know, what if Bitcoin is meant to be some sort of, even if it's a global gold standard, let alone a currency. I don't like the idea. I guess you've got all these governments wrapping their heads around blockchain space, all of which knowing that nobody knows who the hell created this stuff, and nobody seems to care. Doesn't that strike you as odd? I mean, let's say that the SEC regulates everything, and of course they're saying Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're not securities, so they're not regulated. Okay, cool. But doesn't it strike you as odd that all of the potential institutional money that's expected to pour into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and probably the top 10, Nobody seems to raise an eyebrow to the idea that nobody knows who created it and nobody knows what's going to happen with the cachet of Bitcoin that's never been touched. That to me is slightly scary. And so I'm curious, if you watch this video and you have questions or you have comments or you have an idea as to what I'm talking about, post your comments. I will be reading and responding to the comments in this video religiously for a while. Cryptos are classified as commodities in the US, and that's all fine and dandy. Bcash is about to get a 51% attack. Yeah, I posted that in a video about an hour ago. I was talking about that. Okay, the NSA created Bitcoin. Happy now? I've been carrying that secret for a while. I don't think it was the NSA, but if anybody were to have done something like this, I would believe CERN to be the cause. I would believe people at CERN to have been responsible, to be quite honest with you. My rebuttal will be in video form, sir. Okay, that's cool, Brandon. Let me know. Let me know. I'm very curious to see what your thoughts are. Now, there's one thing that this is talking about. This is kind of going into like the central banks and sovereigns, the IMF, distributed ledger. It is only a matter of time until U.S. hegemony, built upon its reserve currency status, as well as other factors, goes the way of T-Rex. And I have long believed that while distributed ledger tech is not going away, that it will be the IMF, central bank, sovereigns who will end up creating their own horse in this reserve currency race that will win based upon global legislation and regulation. But 2018 is right around the corner. Now, this was written a while ago, November of 2017. The answer, no, this is really rubbish. I can't believe how many people are writing in asking about this subject matter. What makes the dollar the reserve currency is the national debt. It is the only game in town to park big money. All of these conspiracy theories that hate the dollar so much fail to understand that the USA is not trying to keep the dollar as the reserve currency. It was the Plaza Accord that encouraged Europe to join together to create the euro to compete with the dollar. The USA has also tried to convince Japan to relax its regulation to freely allow the yen to participate in the world economy. Yes, the yen floats. However, nobody could issue a bond in yen without the approval of the government, even in London, between two private parties. This just kind of talks about, yes, the IMF is making a pitch to be placed in charge of a new one world currency. So the SDR cannot replace the dollar by January 2018. What a joke. So just, you know, if you look a bunch of this stuff up and you just kind of checking on a little bit of a climb. Crow really should get more likes. He has jumped 3 dumps. He has jumped 3 dumps in one day. I'm not sure what that means. Jumped 3 dumps. IMF about to purchase and hodl King Bitcoin. Haha. The deal was cut and we went off the gold standard. Then silver. Let's see. What's Temple Ray saying here? I don't know. Where are you? So what you're saying is, let's take our money out and leave it stop because the market has taken. I don't even know what that's saying, Jason Gordon. But ultimately, what I'm saying is, so we're in a down market. We're in a bear market right now. And in the grand scheme of things, I feel like we had 2017. So leading up until 2017, we had a lot of test cases. That's how I look at it. We had a bunch of beta tests, right? For whether or not the public would accept Bitcoin, would accept the blockchain, what kind of use cases can we come up with? What can we do with it outside of like dark web shit and, you know, video gaming currency and tokens and whatever, buying pizzas for $50 billion or whatever. And so I feel like 2017 basically showed the world that once it starts touching into the hands of the mainstream, we can light a really quick hot fire. And I feel like we have a lot of, now that we've proven that, and we have a lot of truly functional blockchain-based projects that are already working, hundreds, if not thousands more, we know that we're in an exponential growth now. And I believe that we are truly laying the groundwork right now for what will ultimately become the one world currency. And what I think will potentially happen is all of these other coins, all of these altcoins, while they will have some value, I truly, there's something that tells me that the majority of these altcoins are not, and I'm talking 3 to 5 years maybe, but in the cryptocurrency space, that could mean 2. But I see a lot of these altcoins just vanishing. And this is the first time I've ever thought that. Because what's going to happen is, if there is a one world currency and it is blockchain, which I believe it will, I believe that a lot of these other currencies are no longer going to be sought after as being as valuable as they are even today. Now, we might have a top 10 list, and we might have some primary blockchains that stick around. We may have some dApp tokens. We may have some of this stuff. I really don't know. But the more I read about a lot of this, and the more I'm kind of wrapping my head around where we are and where we're going to be, man, it may very well not be long before one Satoshi's worth $1,000 in itself. I mean, because if you think about it on a fractional system, and the last Bitcoin is supposed to be mined up, I've heard 2020, 2050. I never even looked it up. I don't remember. China controls 50% of BTC. I don't see that being the world currency. Well, you think China owns 50%. They might control 50% of the mining. That doesn't mean they own 50% of the Bitcoin. Bitcoin will be a stable coin in the future like USD Tether. Maybe. ETH was and is a shit coin. I don't know about that. ETH is obviously not a shit coin. I know that there are some people who hate on it and have hated on it for a while, but there are probably 1,000 different projects relying on the ERC20 blockchain. This is why I'm only holding 66% Bitcoin now. You really believe the world governments will use Bitcoin? No, I don't necessarily believe that it will be Bitcoin. I think that what will ultimately define Bitcoin as being a potential one world currency are things like, Lightning, SegWit, all this other stuff associated with Bitcoin to make it more powerful and faster, and all that other stuff. And I don't even think, I think even once those two things are really implemented and utilized on a grand scale, I think it's going to need more than that. There's going to need to be a little bit more. Bitcoin could ultimately become the gold standard and used for what ultimately does become the one world blockchain currency. Whether that's Ripple or something else. It could be used as a primary trading pair for exchange transfers. Ultimately Bitcoin being used as kind of the fuel to get in and out of stuff, kind of like it is now. I don't necessarily know if Bitcoin itself is going to become the one world currency. I just believe that it will be a blockchain tech. It will be something on the blockchain that will ultimately step up as a one world currency. I do absolutely fully believe that. $1 per Satoshi would be a $100 trillion valuation. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Believe me, there's going to come a day, whether it's in our lifetime or the next, that's very likely going to happen. Crypto Crow for one world leader. That's funny. ERC 666. Here's the thing. I see all the conspiracy jokes, and look, I get it. It sounds crazy, and if you look up a lot of this stuff online, you'll see a lot of nutters out there, and I don't necessarily. The only thing that makes a one world currency, one world order, new world order, any of that stuff, it's interpretations of the Bible. And look, who's to say that we're the first civilization to walk this planet to begin with? Who's to say that there haven't been others, that came, lived, rose, fought, fell, I mean, think of where we've come in just 100 years as a society. And to think that this planet has been around for how long? If we truly did just evolve from apes, let's just play that game. Let's just say we did evolve from apes. Who's to say that we didn't have the amoebas that evolved into the fish, that evolved into the lizard, and into the chicken, and into the cow, and into the T-Rex, and the chimpanzees, and all this other shit? Who's to say that that could have happened multiple times since this giant rock was filled with water? You know, if you take all the water out of the earth, it basically looks like a chunk of rock that was broken off of something else. Who's to say that that wasn't the moon? Who's to say that it wasn't, you know, it could be anything. I don't know. But it's been a long time. And there's nothing that says that we're really the only civilization. I mean, we're digging up fossils that are millions of years old, and that's fine. But what about underneath that? What about the stuff that it's been so long that it's just either too deep or too far gone to recover nowadays? I don't know. There's still so many questions. But I think that, you know, something just doesn't feel 100% right about it all. And I'm telling you, and it hit me last night. Something is not right, and I don't know what it is, but something is, you know, I talk about my gut, so, you know, when I get really bullish on an ICO, or I get really bullish on a team or whatever, and I just get super excited about something, and I just get these gut things that keep me up at night, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. And maybe because I've had more time, because the market's been so slow and there's just been so little going on recently, I've had more time to think. But I don't think that we're it, folks. And I think that the Bible itself was likely written by other people, like somehow passed down. I mean, you got the Sumerian tablets. You've got, you know, look up Zechariah Sitchin. I have all his books. I haven't read them all, but I mean, you know, if you look deeper, I think you'll realize that there's a lot more going on in the world and in our history than you realize. And I just think that where we're at right now is potentially the I don't know. This is the beginning of something that I see as being absolutely revolutionary beyond what we think. I think this is going to change the way the entire world thinks, lives, and interacts with each other. And I think that, and here's the thing, even the worst case scenario is that all these governments regulate the cryptocurrency space, and there's huge mass adoption in every country on the globe, and all these cryptocurrencies just shoot through the freaking moon until the projects that we're waiting to launch that don't launch, and those go away. And because what's going to happen is we're going to have a lot of projects that got a lot of funding early on, and some of those are going to fail, and they're just going to go away. And there are going to be less and less projects coming into the space because they're going to be more higher quality projects than would have come out recently. And those projects are going to go through all the regulations, the SEC's guidelines and everything else, and they're going to be available on a global scale. I believe that that's probably coming. But those projects are going to be vetted. Those projects are going to be in line with what all these governments require them to be in order to release themselves globally for public consumption. And I think that we're going to get to a place where we're going to have a lot fewer cryptocurrencies available in the market, but a lot of them are going to be just better overall, and they're going to replace some of this old effort. And I'm telling you, sometimes I feel like I almost need to draw everything out in like graph paper and break it all down, kind of like a crypto chart, you know, like a technical analysis chart, just to make it all make sense to me, because I feel like I can't process everything and put it into words as fast as I'm thinking through everything. So anyway, I mean, that's pretty much it. Those are my thoughts. I don't know. I just wanted to share. No one said they invented paper. They wrote on clay tablets. Yes, they did, and other things. But you're still not that far evolved from an ape, Crow. What happened? In time, this all will be figured out. Oh, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will all be figured out. Check out Graham Hancock. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one. Okay. So, I did get a call today about my BCT terminal. Apparently, this tech team is coming over to install everything and set it all up. I wasn't expecting all that. I thought it was all going to show up in a box, and I was going to set it up and plug it in. Apparently, there's a tech team that shows up, make sure all the security's on point, everything's set up properly, and everything else. So, I will have that set up Friday. So, I'll probably be showing it off Friday night once I've had a chance to play with it. So, I'm definitely pumped about that. Oh, and just to let you guys know, I did sign my Biz TV deal today. So this is Biz TV. You can go, and it's you know, it's a national network. They're on all kinds of stuff, man. I mean, they're on every platform. Watch it live. They're on all these stations. Potential reach of 148.5 million people on TV and online, and then, you know, across all their apps and everything else. So this will, of course, be in addition to my Tough TV show. And I basically just signed a 6-month deal with these guys. So they're willing to they're going to air any half-hour shows or hour shows I give them. So that'll be pretty fun. And there's some cool people on here too. This is more of a business kind of focused network. And so like Tough TV is more focused around like guys and hunting and fun stuff and MMA. And this is more of a business focused network. So yeah, that guy looks like Jimmy Kimmel, but I don't think it is. So anyway, I'm going to start, we're going to start uploading the first 14 episodes to their system here probably within the next few days. And then I'm sure they'll give me an airing schedule, and you're going to start seeing a lot of my segments and stuff being added into Biz TV's rotation. So don't get starstruck, Jason. I don't feel like a star in any way, shape, or form. I'm seriously just a dude. I'm a dude that's trying to do stuff to make some money so I can retire early, fly out to Egypt and explore the world and go treasure hunting or something. I'm probably going to go out to... oh, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you guys have not seen this show... Oh my God. The Good Doctor. It's on Hulu. This show is the most emotional show I have ever watched, and it is amazing. I'm not kidding. Every night my wife and I binge watch 3 episodes, and we're like crying at every single one of them. It is such an amazing show. If you have not watched it yet, you have got to watch this show. Plain and simple. We watch it on Hulu. It's just amazing, man. It's basically about this young doctor with autism, and he's just, the way he thinks and processes things is amazing. And it's almost like he's like the MacGyver of medicine in a way, because of his autism, but he's very socially awkward, so he's learning how to adjust to the world. But man, every episode is so freaking packed full of like on your seat tension. And then one way or another you get like, it's because it's not always good, but you never know what case is going to end up badly, or what's going to happen, and they keep you on your toes. Amazing show. So yes. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off here. I just wanted to share some thoughts. Is Bitcoin the one world currency? I do not think it's going to be Bitcoin, but I do think that blockchain technology is very much going to play a role. And when it does happen, I think we're going to see a lot of growth. I mean, obviously, I think the growth is going to come prior to this, like, officiality. And, you know, it's keep your eyes peeled, because I definitely, I'm going to say before I end it here, there's something missing from this whole equation. There is this covert, secretive nature of Bitcoin as a whole. While the technology is fantastic, there's something about the secrecy of the creators, man, that's just kind of rubbing me wrong. And a part of me almost feels like there could be more to Bitcoin than we currently even know. I'm just going to leave it at that. I feel like there's something else. There's something else. What's a BCT terminal? Yeah, something's brewing. Exactly. BCT terminal. I'll show you. I did a review for these guys. Oh, oops. I did a review for these guys, and it's primarily for fund managers, you know, big traders, things like this. But this here is on the right. This is what I'm getting Friday, and it's basically all the crypto trading tools you could possibly need all in one freaking system, and it's like I'm super pumped. I'm super pumped, and I have 2 monitors going right now. Tonight I'm gonna order a stand on Amazon so that I can stack them on top of each other. That way I've got my terminal on one side, I've got this on another, and I'm probably gonna throw up an over the shoulder camera that I can switch to when I'm doing like showing TA and some of the stuff that this terminal does. So yeah, so that's it. I just kind of wanted to hang out a little bit and just kind of share my thoughts and ultimately just spawn some thought, you know, just to get everybody out there thinking a little bit about what I don't know, for whatever reason, what my thoughts are. Get that guy on here, Crow. Get what guy? Let's see. Yes, I watched Altered Carbon. It was pretty good, but I feel like it was overdone in the sense that, you know, people dying over and over and over again because they had like clones in reserve and all that. I thought that was a little much. Great to see you too, Ryan Phelps, man. I appreciate you being here. How much is that terminal? I do not know. I'm basically a beta tester for it, and they told me that I can continue using it for as long as I want to. I don't technically own it, I don't think. But yeah. Oh, Charles Hoskinson. I don't know. Heather and those guys that handle my booking said they've been talking to him and that he wants to do an interview, but I haven't heard anything else about it. They have all kinds of stuff apparently just kind of waiting in limbo. And I don't know what everybody's waiting for, but I think it's time. Like, Charles needs to get on this show and let's break some stuff down. I want to know like where things are at, what's up with proof of stake. I want to know a lot of stuff, man. So Charles, if you ever see this or hear about it, let's do it. No sense in waiting around. We've got plenty of time. All right, folks. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. And have a good evening. Crow your coins. And I will see you real soon. Thanks. See ya.